My boyfriend is the top heartthrob of the police academy, and he's awfully grumpy. Don't be dramatic. I don't do comforting. A forced love is bitter indeed. I made up my mind to break up, only to see him red-eyed and muttering. You were the one who chased me. And now you're the one leaving. Be reasonable, will you? Xia Nuan, a wealthy young lady from the capital, is beautiful and rich. Yet she only has eyes for Jiang Yinchuan, the untouchable elite of the police academy. After a month of persistent pursuit going nowhere, she lost patience and practically cornered him. My people are right outside the door. You can't escape. The man sat loosely on the sofa, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly. You think you can stop me? Oh right, she'd forgotten he was a police academy student. When Xia Nuan saw him stand up to open the door, she panicked, grabbed his wrist and pressed him against the door panel. Given their height difference, Jiang Yinchuan looked down at her, his voice icy. Let go. His head was lowered, his face half hidden in shifting light and shadow. His features were distant and cold, both seductive and abstinent, exactly the type that made Xia Nuan, a total face admirer, weak at the knees. She thought for a moment, stared straight at him and said, 3 million. Be my boyfriend. The room fell silent. Jiang Yinchuan studied her for a few seconds and let out a scornful laugh. I don't have time to play games with you. Not falling for that. The man was tough, and she liked him even more. Heard you have a younger sister who's ill. Jiang Yinchuan froze mid-movement to open the door, his dark eyes darkening. Xia Nuan showed no guilt and continued, Why don't we meet each other halfway? He turned around, restraining his temper, and asked, What do you want? Be my boyfriend for 3 months. I'll let you go once I get bored. So you agree? Do I have a choice? Of course you do. If you say no today, I'll still wait for you at school every day. Before she could finish, a force wrapped around her waist, making her stiffen. Scared already? 3 months, right? Don't regret it, girlfriend. They were extremely close. He wore a black t-shirt, his arm muscles smoothly defined. His voice was teasing and lazy, and the word girlfriend made her ears burn. By the time she snapped back to her senses, Jiang Yinchuan had let go and opened the door. A large crowd stood outside, some gossiping, some looking guilty. He left with a cold expression. Xia Nuan ignored the onlookers and chased after him, frowning and complaining. Is that any way to act as a boyfriend? You didn't even wait for me. Jiang Yinchuan put a cigarette between his lips, his gaze cold. Don't be dramatic. I don't do comforting. Xia Nuan was left speechless. Then she had an idea, lifted her hand to cover his hanging hand, and gently squeezed it. Holding hands isn't too much to ask, is it? He said nothing. His hand was motionless at first, but after a few seconds, he slowly turned his palm over and wrapped his hand around hers. Warmth surrounded her palm, and she quietly curled the corner of her mouth. Lunch together tomorrow? Not free. Why? Something came up. She sulked. What's more important than having lunch with your girlfriend? Jiang Yinchuan put out his cigarette and glanced at her sideways. Not everyone is as free as you are. Xia Nuan felt she was getting used to his sarcasm. I'm busy too, you know. Busy with what? Busy liking you. Jiang Yinchuan's eyes flickered slightly. Go back home. Xia Nuan's face was still hot from her confession. You're my boyfriend. You're not going to walk me home. Can't you walk by yourself? Xia Nuan owned an apartment near the school. After persistent pleading and a little emotional blackmail, Jiang Yinchuan still walked her downstairs. Once there, she tugged at his clothes to stop him from leaving. Even though their relationship had started with her forcing him, she was a wealthy young lady with principles. You can't just disappear for no reason. Jiang Yinchuan looked down at her and let out an impatient hum. Xia Nuan felt emboldened and slipped her arm through his. Say goodnight to me every night. Did you hear me? Damn clingy, he thought, turning his head as his Adam's apple bobbed. Fine. Now get off me. Xia Nuan boldly poked his cheek. And you're not allowed to look at girls prettier than me. She'd expected him to say she was the prettiest. Instead, the man thought for a moment and said, I'll try. What a stubborn straight man. She cursed inwardly, but smiled sweetly at him. Hug me. She gently shook his arm. Jiang Yinchuan's face was cold, but he was worn down by her persistence. He pulled her into his arms rather roughly, his tone helpless. "Can I leave now, Your Highness?" Qin Qing loved gossip, was Xia Nuan's best friend, and also her love advisor. On the playground, she said, "Congratulations on becoming the girlfriend of Jiang Yinchuan. The school heartthrob every girl wants but can't have." Xia Nuan felt shy and glanced at the group taking pay class not far away. Then he left. She remembered that day she accompanied her best friend to visit the police academy. The first time she met Jiang Yinchuan. A neat formation stood on the playground. On the stage in front, the man wore a blue police uniform, his shoulders straight, tall and elegant. His voice through the microphone was clean and upright. It wasn't until he saluted and bowed that she snapped out of her daze, surrounded by thunderous applause, grand and brilliant. In that moment, Xia Nuan decided. This man had to be hers. By a lucky coincidence, her best friend's boyfriend was Jiang Yinchuan's roommate. Everything fell into place. Fate was truly wonderful. Class ended over there. Jiang Yinchuan had just finished pull-ups, his arm muscles still tight, veins faintly protruding, exuding an irresistible masculine aura. He wiped his sweat with a towel and noticed his buddies grinning at him gossipingly. He turned around and frowned. That woman really had nothing better to do. "Brother Jiang. Sorry about yesterday. My girlfriend is friends with hers. I was stuck in the middle." Someone handed him a bottle of water, apologizing awkwardly. "You're her boyfriend now? Do you actually like her?" After all, the whole academy knew Jiang Yinchuan was being pursued by a rich girl. The midday sun shone down. The woman had waist-length black hair, wore designer clothes, a skirt above her knees, and her slender legs were dazzlingly white. There were many men on the playground, but she showed no fear, acting as if she didn't feel their stares. She stopped in front of Jiang Yinchuan. "Lunch together? I've never been to your cafeteria." In contrast to everyone else's surprised looks, Jiang Yinchuan drank his water slowly, screwed the cap back on, and glanced at her knees. "Dressed like that to show off? That was harsh." Xia Nuan's smile froze. She admitted the wind was a bit strong today, making her skirt look rather short. Before she could speak, a coat was thrown into her arms. "It's clean." She tightened her fingers and smiled again. "You're lucky to have lunch with a beauty like me." The man's expression didn't change. "I don't take handouts." Due to the school's strict rules, Jiang Yinchuan was either in formation or on his way to formation. Phones were restricted during class. The only silver lining was that he sent her goodnight every evening. But Xia Nuan was far from satisfied. She was frustrated. It had been 3 whole days since she'd last seen him. At this rate, Jiang Yinchuan would never like her in this lifetime. But there was always a way out. The academy announced a joint rescue drill between the medical university and the police academy the next day. To prepare, Xia Nuan put on a face mask and got her beauty sleep, determined to appear in front of him in her best condition. They still needed a volunteer for the injured role. Without hesitation, she was the first to raise her hand. Reporting to the instructor, "My name is Xia Nuan from Clinical Medicine Class 2, and I'm Jiang Yinchuan's girlfriend." Reporting complete, the whole area fell silent. On closer look, several people were holding back laughter. The instructor was quiet for a moment. "Jiang Yinchuan, step out. Is what she said true?" The man wore black tactical gear, his figure tall and slender, exuding the oppressive aura of a special police officer. His gaze was cold and firm. Reporting to the instructor, "It is true." Now everyone knew Xia Nuan was the girlfriend of the police academy's top heartthrob. Officially confirmed. The drill began. Xia Nuan played a leg injury. When Jiang Yinchuan carried her on his back and rushed forward, she could barely process what was happening. Her chest pressed against his back, and she could almost feel his breathing, as well as the simulated danger around them. 3 minutes 34 seconds. "Nice one, Brother Jiang. First place again." "That fast?" Xia Nuan thought ages had passed. She watched him leap over obstacles, dodge simulated gunfire, and reach her side. Several outgoing boys from her school carried stretchers, racing each other. Xia Nuan wasn't paying attention and was accidentally knocked down. She stumbled backward and fell straight into Jiang Yinchuan's arms, stepping on a small stone. She frowned and decided to milk it. "Ouch! I sprained my ankle." Jiang Yinchuan held her arm by inertia, and saw her painful expression. Which foot? Xia Nuan thought for a second. Left one. He said nothing and lifted her up in his arms. To the infirmary. Some people cackled. Jiang Yinchuan shot them a look, and they fell silent. Along the way, Xia Nuan rested her head on his chest. Student Jiang, your heart is beating so fast. Jiang Yinchuan paused slightly and muttered, You're too heavy. Then you can walk slower. No. Do you care about me? No. I'm afraid your injury will heal if I slow down. Xia Nuan was too annoyed to speak. After the infirmary doctor checked her, he said there was nothing serious. At seeing her pale, uncomfortable face, he added, Stay here for 2 hours of observation. Score. Xia Nuan leaned half against the man, limping. Jiang Yinchuan had no choice but to carry her to the bed. Stay here. I'll be back later. Where are you going? Jiang Yinchuan lowered his head. As they bent close, their breaths nearly touched. He froze for a second, then straightened up slowly. Change clothes. Xia Nuan nodded and watched his unhesitating back, feeling gloomy and defeated. Suddenly, Xia Nuan? The man in tactical gear who came into view was her high school classmate. Qin Zan? Nice, you still remember my name. Xia Nuan felt awkward. What a coincidence. Chen Zan smiled and stepped closer. They chatted for a while, and she learned that police academy students had to apply to go out and had to return by a set time. They talked more and more. She stood up to make an excuse to go to the bathroom, only to feel her arm warm up. Qin Zan had reached out to support her. Do you have a boyfriend now? Xia Nuan was stunned. Before she could reply, Qin Zan greeted someone at the door. Hello, senior. She followed his gaze and her eyes lit up. Jiang Yinchuan glanced at their touching arms, silently handed her a bottle of mineral water. Now it was Chen Zan's turn to be embarrassed. He suddenly understood, felt the man's gaze, quickly let go, and put his hand behind his back. I'll get going then. Silence fell. Can you apply to leave campus and take me home? She twisted the bottle cap, her fingertips reddening. Jiang Yinchuan had long grown used to the girl's dramatics. He took it and opened it for her. Already applied. Xia Nuan bit her lip, secretly happy over these small gestures. So you were gone all that time just to apply to leave? The man's voice was flat. You seem to be having a good conversation, though. She frowned, trying to remember when she'd been happy chatting. Then a smile spread across her eyes. Are you jealous, Jiang Yinchuan? No. I turned down his confession before, but he seems to have gotten better looking. Jiang Yinchuan watched her lips move. She'd been through the drill and stayed in the infirmary for 2 hours without drinking a sip of water. Yet she still had so much to say. He cut her off. Talk less. Drink your water. His tone was cold, as if he didn't care at all. She wanted to ask what type of girl he liked, but was afraid he'd just sneer and say anything but her. Let's go. No one spoke on the way. Xia Nuan was unusually quiet, and the silence annoyed him. At her apartment building, she looked up at him, understanding. You can go back. Don't be late for curfew. Jiang Yinchuan stared at her in silence. A string in his heart tugged. Finally, he clicked his tongue and tentatively reached for her hand. Sure enough, she pulled away. Jiang Yinchuan sighed softly and slowly pulled her into his arms, murmuring, What are you sulking about? What kind of boyfriend doesn't care about his girlfriend? He raised his hand and gently rubbed the back of her head. You already turned him down. Why would I care? Xia Nuan's low spirits vanished at his explanation. His eyes flickered, and he awkwardly changed the subject. Are you hungry? The second he said it, he regretted it. I want you to cook for me. The living room lights were bright. She finished a simple bowl of tomato and egg noodles quickly. No one's ever cooked for me before. Jiang Yinchuan naturally put her bowls and chopsticks in the kitchen. After cleaning up, he asked calmly, Where are your parents? Xia Nuan thought for a moment. I never knew my mom. After a short silence, Jiang Yinchuan nodded and returned to his cold demeanor. He picked up his coat and stood up. Some ingredients in the fridge expired. Throw them away. Leaving already? Xia Nuan frowned and lifted her foot. Ouch, it hurts again. Jiang Yinchuan looked down. Wrong foot. It's the left one. Whatever. Xia Nuan blocked the door, hooked her arm through his, tickled his palm, and rubbed against him. Why don't you watch TV for a while before leaving? Jiang Yinchuan held his wrist to stop her from touching him randomly. Stop messing around. She acted as if she hadn't heard him, and simply wrapped her arms around his waist, feeling wronged. Can we go on a date during the holiday? Jiang Yinchuan's breathing slowed. His Adam's apple bobbed slightly. Fine. His voice sounded odd. He was irritated inwardly. He knew exactly what the irritation was. It was himself, indulging her more and more. He hated this feeling. Xia Nuan thought she'd misheard. She looked up at him and noticed the tip of his ear was slightly red. She couldn't help laughing, reached up, hooked his neck, pulled him down and kissed his lips. Just for a moment, their breaths tangled for half a second. She blushed and stepped back, only then realizing what she'd done. Be careful on the way back. With that, she fled into her bedroom. Jiang Yinchuan stood there, touching his lip. The warm sensation lingered, almost spreading to his heart, throwing his heartbeat into chaos. Thunder boomed outside. That was impulsive, but I'll take responsibility for you. Jiang Yinchuan snapped back to his senses, didn't take it, and said coldly, I'm leaving. Xia Nuan loved it most when he acted all untouchable. Clearly he cared, but he pretended not to. She stepped closer. Jiang Yinchuan, do you like me even a little bit? The girl's voice was sweet, her gaze burning, constantly tugging at his nerves. No. What a stubborn, unromantic straight man. She woke up late and stayed home all day, sending Jiang Yinchuan a message. Moments later, her phone pinged. Xia Nuan rarely went back and barely spoke to her father, Xia Nuan. She was conflicted, hating him yet craving his attention at the same time. In the villa, the maid was busy in the kitchen. Xia Nuan came downstairs in his pajamas, followed by a young woman. She'd just showered, her hair still damp. Xia Nuan, you're so pretty. I didn't bring you a gift on my first visit. No need. I still haven't opened the gifts from the other aunties. The atmosphere in the living room clearly turned awkward. Xia Nuan's gaze was icy. What kind of attitude is that? Apologize to auntie. The woman quickly smoothed things over. It's nothing. We're family now, no need to be so serious. Xia Nuan fell silent. Ever since she could remember, Xia Nuan had been cold and stern. He'd always brought women home, spent money on them. Over time, Xia Nuan thought that was all love was, just spending money. She still remembered clearly, junior high school. They said if someone hits you, you can endure it or fight back, and it'll pass. But if someone slaps you, you remember it forever. They're trampling on your dignity. After that, she let all her resentment toward her father show, spending money recklessly in revenge. Xia Nuan never stopped her. He probably didn't care at all. Heard you're dating a police academy student? Xia Nuan snapped back to reality, her fingers tightening. What's it to you? A sharp crash. Xia Nuan slammed his chopsticks on the table. The temperature plummeted. My daughter, Xia Nuan's daughter, is not going to date some poor student. Something about that stung Xia Nuan. She stood up. He's a police officer. Aunt Li came out of the kitchen with a cake just then. Seeing the father and daughter arguing again, she quickly intervened. It's Xia Nuan's birthday today. Surprise flashed across Xia Nuan's eyes. Xia Nuan knew without looking he'd forgotten. But she didn't care. She pulled out her chair. Thanks for the meal. I'm leaving. She practically ran out, without an umbrella. The rain kept falling. She wandered aimlessly, found shelter under a shop awning, squatted down slowly, and turned on her phone. A message from 10 minutes ago. Jiang Yinchuan. Whatever. She looked up. She'd asked if he wanted dinner together. For some reason, Xia Nuan's eyes burned. Why didn't anyone care about her? Stubborn, she called him directly. As soon as he picked up, she spoke first, choking up. Jiang Yinchuan. You're the worst. You only replied after dinner was already over. Is that any way to be a boyfriend? If you keep this up, I'll leave you. Her voice grew quieter, thick with tears. She wiped her red eyes, finally letting it all out. Then the man's deep voice came through the speaker. My sister was having a checkup. I've been busy until now. With the patter of rain in the background, Xia Nuan opened her mouth, and tears flowed again. I'm sorry. Where are you? The man's black cap covered half his face, his jawline elegant and smooth, impossibly good-looking. He held an umbrella, squatted down, took off his cap and put it on her head. You're too old to be out in the rain without going home. She looked up slightly, her throat tight. This boyfriend she'd obtained by force. He do really come for her in the rain. I just really wanted to see you. She suddenly hugged him. Jiang Yinchuan stiffened, then automatically raised his hand and gently rubbed the back of her head, murmuring, "Silly girl." The rain was heavy, with no cars on the road. Xia Nuan, her clothes soaked, was taken to a nearby hospital by him. She couldn't help looking at the little girl sleeping on the bed, holding back her questions. In the family waiting room, Jiang Yinchuan found his clothes for her. Put these on first. Xia Nuan took them and hesitated for a second. Will she be okay? Chronic leukemia. We can't be sure. Can she have a stem cell transplant? Yeah. Surgery next month. The man's voice was soft. He looked at her. Your underwear. Is it wet? Xia Nuan nodded, embarrassed. Jiang Yinchuan clicked his tongue, helpless. What size? 70C. The silence was awkward. Perhaps sensing his instinctive glance, she covered her chest. What are you looking at? He leaned against the wall, smiling lazily. Doesn't look like it. The girl blushed deeply. Jiang Yinchuan stopped teasing her, stood up, and rubbed the back of his neck. Watch the room for me. I'll be right back. I promise I will. The rain got even heavier outside. It was nearly 10 o'clock and few shops were open. He found the counter, gave the size, remembered her delicate skin, and called the clerk back. Give me the expensive ones. These are all high quality, sir. Which set would you like? This was such a hassle. Jiang Yinchuan glanced at them. The pink one. There are 2 pink sets. Which style? Back at the ward, the girl was sitting neatly by the bed, looking like she was on duty. He walked over, tapped her shoulder, and whispered, Go change. He handed her 2 bags, one with clothes, the other with a packed bowl of noodles. Xia Nuan felt her heart race. She'd probably been sitting too long, her legs numb. She stumbled when she stood up, but the man caught her arm. Before she could speak, the little girl in the bed woke up somehow. She looked at them, her voice young and sleepy. Brother, I dreamed you had a girlfriend. Xia Nuan suddenly grew nervous, as if meeting her boyfriend's family. But the girl seemed to be talking in her sleep. She turned over and went back to sleep. Back in the waiting room, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. She'd just finished eating and sat blankly for a while. When she thought carefully, she realized Jiang Yinchuan was very well-mannered. She was always forcing him to do things he didn't like. But even though he was unwilling, he still did them. At that thought, Xia Nuan felt a surge of guilt. Was she bullying an honest man? Whatever. Young or not, she was going to get the guy she liked. What are you grinning at? Xia Nuan's smile froze. She met the man's look as if she were crazy, then her gaze dropped. He wore only grey sweatpants, the drawstring loose around his waist. His abs were clearly visible, not bulky, but toned and fit. His shoulder and neck muscles were smoothly defined. In the lamplight, faint veins on his lower abdomen stretched downward, making anyone's heart race. Was this the charm of a police academy student? I'm just really happy being with you. Jiang Yinchuan didn't notice anything strange and was immune to her sweet talk. He put on a white t-shirt. The rain still poured outside. I'll take you back tomorrow, okay? Xia Nuan's gaze was still wandering over him. Okay. She blurted out a second later. Why are you putting clothes on? Xia Nuan froze, her face burning instantly. Panicked, she said, I'm going to take a shower. The door closed. Jiang Yinchuan stood there, suddenly smiling. Then he realized what he was doing and pressed his lips back into a straight line. Would you like me to shorten this translation into a concise English version for social media or reading? The steam from the bathroom had flushed her cheeks bright red, making them feel even hotter. Her hair dripped with water, and without looking for a hairdryer, she called for Jiang Yinchuan directly. The man stepped in, picked up the hairdryer from the shelf, and muttered, Can't you see it right in front of you? All the negative emotions from the day had vanished. Blow my hair for me. They stared at each other for a moment. Then the hairdryer turned on. His fingers ran gently through her hair. His movements delicate and soft. Nothing like the rough guy during physical training on the playground. Xia Nuan wrapped her arms around his waist, face to face. Even through the fabric, she could feel his body temperature and the firmness of his muscles. Finding it amusing, she lifted a finger and tapped his Adam's apple. Before she could enjoy it, Jiang Yinchuan turned off the hairdryer and caught her hand. Can you stand still? He was being so grumpy, a bit like her military training instructor in freshman year. Xia Nuan pouted and calmed down a little. Jiang Yinchuan didn't let go of her hand. Instead, he pressed it against the marble countertop, his gaze deep. Why were you crying today? His voice was low and hoarse, soft as it drifted into her ears. Xia Nuan's heart softened, and she slowly let her guard down in front of him. I argued with my dad. She rested her head on his chest, her voice muffled. I was going home for my birthday, but he didn't remember at all. No one spoke. All she could hear was the steady thump of his heartbeat. Jiang Yinchuan rubbed her head, finished drying her hair, and left. Huh? He was leaving already. One moment sweet, the next distant. Xia Nuan grumbled about him again under her breath and hid under the covers. Suddenly, a familiar scent drifted to her nose. Nice. The same smell as Jiang Yinchuan. Were they sort of sharing a bed? She tightened the covers shyly. Just then, the door opened again. He'd found something that looked like a cake. No, it was bread. Xia Nuan sat up slowly. Jiang Yinchuan. It's not midnight yet. This will have to do. He looked at her, ears reddening under the candlelight, and whispered softly, Happy birthday. In an instant, Xia Nuan's eyes stung. No one had ever lit candles for her before. Thank you. She blew out the candle gently, only to realize she hadn't made a wish. She'd been too busy staring at his pretty face. I have a tiny wish. Jiang Yinchuan froze slightly, leaned back in his chair, and gestured for her to continue. I want you to call me baby. Sensing he was about to refuse, Xia Nuan quickly held his hand and squeezed gently. It's my birthday today. Jiang Yinchuan was worn down by her persistence. He chuckled quietly. Go to sleep, baby. Suddenly, she remembered a line. Once, in my girlhood, I liked someone. Even if it was just a second of fake affection in his eyes, I couldn't help but want forever. Xia Nuan obediently hid under the covers. Say a few more nice things and I'll definitely sleep. Pushy? It's my birthday. Their fingers laced together. After a short silence, Jiang Yinchuan said, Actually, I like listening to your nonsense. Her eyes closed, the corners of her mouth lifting slightly. She mumbled drowsily. Then, have you started to like me a little bit? Soft, even breathing came. Jiang Yinchuan looked at her for a long time. Xia Nuan. Liking isn't a process. It's a moment. She slept soundly through the night and woke naturally. The room was quiet. She checked the time and jumped up in fright. It was almost lunchtime. Opening the door, she saw the man playing Lego with his little sister. Why didn't you wake me up? Jiang Yinchuan glanced over, his gaze pausing. Your clothes. Xia Nuan followed his line of sight. Her bra strap had slipped below her shoulder, peeking out from her short-sleeve shirt. Flustered, she quickly fixed it and muttered with a red face. This is your fault for not waking me. Jiang Yinchuan looked away, his tone unreadable. Couldn't wake you. Was he calling her a pig? The little girl in the hospital bed called out sweetly and innocently. Hello, sister. Her ears were still warm. Hi there. I'll play with you later. She hurried in to wash up. Jiang Yinchuan held a Lego piece and said nothing. Brother, why are you smiling? He froze, as if coming back to his senses. He touched the corner of his mouth. I wasn't smiling. After washing up, Xia Nuan tidied the sheets and blankets carefully, afraid of leaving a bad impression. She sat next to Jiang Yinchuan and asked casually, Why isn't your mom here? Went to get medicine. What? His mom had been here and she'd been sleeping? Impression points, -100. Xia Nuan smiled awkwardly and turned to the little girl. What's your name? The little girl wore a woolen hat, around 7 or 8 years old. I'm Jiang Yuru. You're so pretty, sister. Such a sweet talker. A million times better than Jiang Yinchuan. Xia Nuan's mood brightened instantly. After chatting a little longer, Jiang Yuru stared at her. Sister, your hair is so pretty. I want hair like yours. She hadn't reacted yet. Jiang Yinchuan stood up to tidy the Lego and said calmly, You'll have it yourself one day. The little girl pouted unhappily. But I like it so much. He softened his voice as much as he could. Yuri, even if you like it very much, it's not yours. You can't force people. His tone was gentle and deep. For a moment, Xia Nuan was stunned. All her life, she'd taken whatever she liked. She'd never known what it was like to want something and not have it. No one had ever taught her to let go. She didn't listen to what was said after that. Jiang Yinchuan was taking her to eat. As they stood at the door, they met eyes with a middle-aged woman. She spoke instinctively. Hello, Auntie. Mother Jiang smiled warmly. Next time, let Yinchuan bring you home for a meal. It's too rushed today. Xia Nuan repeated, home for a meal, in her head, a smile tugging at her lips. Thank you, Auntie. I'm sure there will be a chance. The man held her hand, expression calm. Let's go. On the way, Xia Nuan remembered something. I won't see you for the next few days. Her voice was wronged. Jiang Yinchuan's expression shifted slightly. Why? Tomorrow's Monday again. You can't come out. I'll be lonely. He was quiet for a few seconds. They're having dinner together tonight. Do you want to come? Absolutely. As soon as they got home after eating, Xia Nuan started picking out clothes. She put one on and ran to Jiang Yinchuan. Does it look good? He looked at her patiently. Yeah. She went to change, then came out again. What about this one? Which is better? Both. Xia Nuan's eyes glinted mischievously. She walked over and sat straight on his lap, wrapping her arms around his neck. Jiang Yinchuan, do you like lace? The underwear he'd bought for her was pink lace. Jiang Yinchuan's Adam's apple bobbed. He glanced at her, voice flat. Bought it randomly. Annoyed, Xia Nuan bit his lip lightly, then quickly pulled away to change again. On the sofa, the man didn't react for a long time. After a while, he pressed his lips together. He suddenly felt hot, rubbed his neck, and stood up to get water. Xia Nuan changed again and walked in front of him. How about this one? Jiang Yinchuan didn't even look. Looks good. You're being lazy. Damn dramatic, but impossible to hate. He frowned in frustration. Is there anything my girlfriend doesn't look good in? Fair enough. Xia Nuan felt giddy inside. Hearing him call her his girlfriend out loud made her heart race. After choosing an outfit, she started putting on makeup. It was the first time Jiang Yinchuan realized how much trouble women were. He leaned against the wall, watching her fuss over her face. It's just dinner. Xia Nuan shook her head. This isn't just dinner. It's my first time meeting your friends. I have to look nice. Inside, she thought. If any girl there liked him secretly, she couldn't let herself be outshone. What's this? Jiang Yinchuan chuckled. Slimming stuff? She froze, looked up. This is contour. Stubborn straight man. Sure enough, there were girls at the dinner table, one particularly delicate one sitting right next to Jiang Yinchuan. Xia Nuan sulkily held his hand under the table. The man was listening to his friend across from him, and naturally tightened his fingers around hers. It was silent, but Xia Nuan met eyes with the girl on the other side. She raised an eyebrow, claiming what was hers. The girl refused to give up. She tapped the person next to her. Yinchuan Jij, can you pass me the drink? Yinchuan Jij. Xia Nuan's eyebrows knitted together. Perfect. Police Academy student wins this round. Sometimes being a straight man had its perks. After dinner, Xia Nuan went to the bathroom. Jiang Yinchuan talked with friends outside the restaurant. Someone handed him a cigarette. He tilted his head to light it, the firelight highlighting his delicate features. Smoke curled around him, adding a hint of rebelliousness. The girl from the table appeared beside him. I just noticed your hands are so big. Jiang Yinchuan glanced at her, hummed and kept talking to his friends. That's amazing. Let's compare. He never had much patience. He smiled sarcastically. Do you really think you're being charming? It was her first time meeting a green tea girl. Xia Nuan ranted to her best friend, then felt a little better. When she reached the door, she slipped her arm through his. Sorry to keep you waiting. Jiang Yinchuan didn't say anything, but his friends laughed ambiguously. Sister-in-law, we're heading back. Won't disturb you. Brother Jiang, let the counselor know if you're not coming back to the dorm. Xia Nuan blushed again, mostly from sister-in-law and the hint of not going back to the dorm. It wasn't proper not to go back. But, well, maybe it was okay. They weren't far from her apartment. They walked side by side. He'd only planned to walk her to the building, but Xia Nuan pestered him until he agreed to go up. Who was that girl? Don't know her. You don't know her, but she calls you Yinchuan Jige. Xia Nuan stopped, looked up at him, and started being dramatic. Am I prettier, or is she? Jiang Yinchuan laughed helplessly. You are. That's more like it. Xia Nuan huffed, a smile spreading across her face. She tugged at his clothes. Did my lipstick smudge? A light shone down from above. He glanced instinctively at her lips. No. Satisfied, Xia Nuan stood on her tiptoes and kissed him. How about now? Jiang Yinchuan had drunk a little. His eyes darkened. No. Stubborn straight man. She ignored him and turned to leave, but her wrist was caught. Jiang Yinchuan lowered his head and kissed her directly. He pushed her gently against the wall, pinning her hands above her head too. His kiss was dominant, as if he'd been holding back for a long time. It stole her breath in an instant, making her wonder who really was the prey. Xia Nuan couldn't move. The air was filled with his strong masculine possessiveness. Heat, ambiguity, heartbeat, all her senses tangled together. When Jiang Yinchuan pulled back a few centimeters, she mumbled instinctively. Did my lipstick? He kissed her again. After a long while, Xia Nuan clung to him and refused to let him leave. Jiang Yinchuan let her mess around in his arms, chuckling softly. So clingy. She tilted her head up, her lips still flushed with ambiguous color. You think I'm clingy? Then call the police. Tell them to arrest me. Her tone was soft. Jiang Yinchuan rubbed her head. I'll arrest you later. Xia Nuan froze, realizing he was teasing her. Are you going back tonight? Yes. It's so late, and you've been drinking. What are you planning? Xia Nuan's face burned under his gaze. Nothing. She looked at him again. Can I come to the academy to see you? The police academy wasn't open to visitors unless escorted by a student. Jiang Yinchuan looked down. It felt like she'd lit a fire inside him. Every time he touched her, it woke up, burning his rationality and breaking down the walls he'd built. He hated losing control. But every time he was swallowed by the fire without noticing. Yes. Xia Nuan got the answer she wanted. She frowned slightly and muttered, Why are you so tall? You're just too short. This is called a lovely wife doesn't reach his shoulder. Jiang Yinchuan laughed at her. He murmured softly, amused. Yeah. A lovely wife doesn't reach his shoulder. Last question. Go on. Why did you kiss me just now? I felt like it. That was just like Jiang Yinchuan. Grumpy, really grumpy. But gentle, truly gentle. Xia Nuan had been incredibly happy these days. She received goodnight messages from him every night, even though she'd been the one to ask for them. Sometimes she dreamed. Dreams where Jiang Yinchuan smiled at her, his eyes only on her. She hadn't had such sweet dreams in ages. She woke up early that day. Her best friend Qin Qing sent a message, asking how things were going. How were things? Xia Nuan couldn't answer. It felt like they'd gotten closer, but also like they were standing still. Don't worry. The academy has strict rules. Summer break is coming soon. You think you won't have chances then? That meant their 3-month relationship agreement was halfway over. Her phone rang. Xia Nuan hesitated before answering. The tone on the other end was flat. Come home tomorrow. Why? Xia Nuan hated when he ordered her around. But then she thought, when she'd forced Jiang Yinchuan to be her boyfriend, had he felt the same way she did now? A sharp pain stabbed her chest. Leave me alone. If I don't, who will? Without me, Would your mom's small fund have lasted you this long? Before he could finish, noise erupted, along with shouts from his assistant. Xia Nuan's heart turned cold. When she reached the hospital, Xia Nuan was already lying on the bed. He'd slipped and fallen down the steps. His arm and ankle were wrapped in gauze, but luckily, they were only superficial injuries. Blood ties were strange. Both of them were stubborn, neither willing to back down. But looking at her father like this, she couldn't help but tear up. Xia Nuan was awake, no longer his usual stern self. I speak bluntly. Don't take it to heart. Xia Nuan didn't respond, changing the subject. How are you feeling? I'm not dying before you get married. Break up with him soon. You haven't seen the real world. You need to understand what those boys really want from you. There he was again. She slowly peeled an apple, and for the first time ever, she didn't argue. After a long while, she spoke, a bitter smile on her lips. Dad, I forced him. I threatened him. He didn't want anything to do with me at first. But even so, he made me tomato and egg noodles. He spent my birthday with me. Even when he was annoyed, he put up with my drama. He's a police academy student. His future belongs to the country. I really like him. Neither of them spoke. The ward was silent. Xia Nuan slowly looked away, and after a long time, he huffed. What kind of police academy student doesn't even want my daughter? Xia Nuan smiled, placed the peeled apple on the cabinet. Get well soon. I'll come see you tomorrow. And don't just lecture me. You need to understand what those women really want from you too. Before they could start bickering again, she grabbed her bag and left. She asked the doctor in charge about his condition and finally relaxed. In the afternoon, Qing said there was a physical drill at the police academy. Xia Nuan opened her phone instinctively and just then received Jiang Yinchuan's reply. She'd asked what he was doing that afternoon. He wrote, "Drilling out? Wanna go watch together?" Of course. My boyfriend's the academy heartthrob. You think I'd let other girls watch him without me? Qing made a face. I heard from my boyfriend that no girls go near Jiang Yinchuan. No one even dares confess to him. Why? That means Jiang Yinchuan doesn't play around. He doesn't give girls any reason to overthink or confess. Xia Nuan nodded in agreement. Jiang Yinchuan really was a morally upright young man. Can I ask you something? If you really liked something, would you take it for yourself? Even if it didn't belong to you? Qing was simple-minded and didn't overthink it. No. Unfortunately, it started raining as soon as they reached the academy. A heavy downpour. She stood under shelter not far away. The rain blurred her vision, but the training drill continued. The students wore identical tactical uniforms, charging forward with all their strength. Their encouraging roars mixed with the rain, the look of youth, ordinary yet dazzling. Xia Nuan spotted Jiang Yinchuan immediately. The man was tall and straight, impossible to miss. He seemed to sense her gaze and turned his head. She lifted her hand instinctively and waved. She couldn't make out his expression at all. In the end, Jiang Yinchuan was called away by the instructor. Xia Nuan stood there, watching him enter drill mode, lifting a 200-pound tire, climbing over a 2-meter-high platform barehanded. Rain beat against his face, sharp and invincible. As heaven maintains vigor through movements, a gentle man should constantly strive for self-perfection. She finally understood that saying. What the youth are like, the country is like. Xia Nuan's heartbeat raced. The first time she saw him flashed in her mind. Standing on stage, in bright sunlight, in the only youth she would ever have. She seemed to understand their mission, the meaning of struggle, and her original reason for applying to medical university. She thought about what the man had said in the hospital ward. Even if you like it very much, it's not yours. You can't force people. What stupid things had she done all this time? Zoning out again? Xia Nuan snapped back to her senses. The man stood next to her, clothes soaked through, drying his hair with a towel. She hesitated for a second before asking, "What are you doing this summer break?" "Yairu's surgery, and an internship at the criminal police team." Jiang Yinchuan paused, glanced sideways. "You," she thought for a moment. "Read some textbooks." "I didn't study much freshman year." Jiang Yinchuan nodded. "Hard work." His friends called from behind. He handed her an umbrella he'd found somewhere. If nothing's up, I'll take you back later. No need. Xia Nuan froze mid-sentence. It was the first time she'd ever refused him. She smiled awkwardly. I'm going with Qin Qing. Go back to your work. Jiang Yinchuan looked at her for a while, then finally said, Okay. Xia Nuan stayed in the hospital for a week. During that time, an uncle came to visit, bringing his own son. Watching them chat and laugh, Xia Nuan could guess her father's plan. After awkwardly seeing the guests off, she emphasized again that she already had a boyfriend. Xia Nuan didn't care at all, telling her from experience that they'd break up sooner or later. He was right. They would break up eventually. But now, she really didn't want to. She hadn't checked her phone during the visit. Now she saw 7 unread messages. Jiang Yinchuan 14 o'clock. Formation roll call 14:30 training. 15:30 class. The rules she'd given him on the first day they were together. He'd followed every single one. How cute. The more she thought about it, the more ashamed Xia Nuan felt. Brother Jiang, what's up? You've checked your phone several times during dinner. Missing your girlfriend? His friend teased. Jiang Yinchuan's fingers froze. A reply popped up, a meme. He frowned, put his phone down calmly, and said nothing. After dinner, he went back to the dorm and opened it again. He tried to think back to what he'd done to upset her. The more he thought, the more frustrated he felt. Xia Nuan received his message half an hour later. He asked, Are you mad? She was drying her hair, confused. She explained, No, I just finished showering. A second later he replied, Tomorrow's weekend. Xia Nuan froze. The screen lit up again. Supermarket? It was the day he first came to her apartment. She'd pestered him about going grocery shopping together. She never thought he'd remember. Okay. The supermarket was crowded at the weekend. He pushed the shopping cart, and for a moment, she had a strange illusion of home. Jiang Yinchuan, you still haven't answered me last time. Am I your first love? The man was standing by the seafood counter. Do you want fish? She nodded and leaned closer. Tell me, is it true? Jiang Yinchuan didn't answer. He grabbed her wrist. It's cold here. She moved a little further from the freezer as he guided her, muttering, You're so good looking. You must have had lots of girlfriends. His movements froze slightly. I haven't. So I'm the first one? You talk too much. Jiang Yinchuan awkwardly took her hand and hummed in agreement. No way. I'm actually your first love, Xia Nuan exclaimed, raising her voice. I really did corrupt a flower of the country. People around them turned to look. Xia Nuan immediately covered her mouth. Jiang Yinchuan tightened his grip on her fingers. On closer look, his earlobes were slightly red. He lowered his voice. Are you asking for trouble? It was hot. When they got home, Xia Nuan took off her sunblock shirt at once. The man had already started preparing ingredients. He was wearing a short-sleeved shirt, and his exposed arm muscles looked powerful. Some people really were born unable to tan. In the kitchen, watching his back, her heart was a mess. Just thinking about becoming strangers with him later made her feel unbearably sad. Hungry? Xia Nuan shook her head and slowly walked up to him. Do you need help? No. She refused to listen and insisted on staying in the kitchen, only to get in the way. In the end, Jiang Yinchuan had no choice but to trap her between his arms. Her back pressed against the marble counter. She looked up into his dark eyes. What are you? His fingers gently rubbed the back of her hand. Does it hurt? I just want to learn to cook. I want to spend more time with you while I still can. It's smoky. Go outside first. No, I want to stay here. She was wearing a camisole, her collarbone clearly visible, her skin fair and lips red. It was hard not to want to give everything to a girl like her. Jiang Yinchuan looked down, his tone calm. If you dare stay, I dare take you right here. Xia Nuan blushed, bold yet cowardly. Come on then. As he leaned toward her, she nervously pushed him away. I'll go watch TV. Alone, Jiang Yinchuan brushed his fingertips lightly and glanced at the black hair tie on the floor. Xia Nuan knew he was going to the hospital that evening and wanted to go with him. Jiang Yinchuan didn't refuse. The little girl in the hospital bed had good readings. She was going to have surgery in a week. Sister, your hairstyle is so cute today. Can you braid my hair for me when Yuiru has long hair? Xia Nuan couldn't help laughing. Sure. Then it'll be next year. Will you be married to brother by then? The man was pouring water for her. He paused at her words. Yuiru, don't talk nonsense. I'm not talking nonsense. On TV, people like you get married and have babies. You're so old-fashioned, brother. The little girl spoke anxiously, frowning. A hint of gloom flashed across Xia Nuan's eyes. But she comforted her anyway. Sister is still at school. Jiang Yinchuan was quick-witted. She hugged Xia Nuan's arm. Will you marry brother after you graduate? Jiang Yinchuan glanced at Xia Nuan, his eyes shifting silently. In the end, he just told Yuru to sleep. Jiang's mother walked in, and the topic was dropped. After leaving the hospital, Xia Nuan touched her hair thoughtfully. She noticed his tightly furrowed brows. Don't worry. Yuru will definitely get better. He hummed and turned to look at her. What a child said. Before he could finish, Xia Nuan interrupted, her gaze falling to the ground. I know. I won't take it seriously. Silence fell between them. It wasn't until they reached her apartment building that Jiang Yinchuan sat him, as Apple bobbed. That's not what I meant. She smiled faintly. Perhaps it was the last time she would ask him shamelessly. Jiang Yinchuan, do you like me even a little? She had expected another cold no. But this time, the man said nothing. Xia Nuan lowered her head, no longer hesitating. As painful as it was, this relationship was twisted. Let's end it. Her voice was soft, blurred by the wind. He froze. And what? Xia Nuan took a deep breath. She knew she couldn't keep him tied to her any longer. She looked up, and just one glance made her nose sting. Break up. The street lamp hung above them. Jiang Yinchuan looked down. After a few seconds of silence, he didn't know what he was thinking either. The time isn't up yet. I know. Just ending it early. Silence fell again. His throat felt tight. She was the one who said they would go their separate ways once she got bored. It had only ever been a game. Fine. Her heart sank. Heat rushed to her eyes. It was as if there was a wound between them, and she kept probing it, hoping to see some other emotion in his eyes. Unfortunately, there was nothing. This man had always been proud. Can we still be friends? Jiang Yinchuan found it ridiculous and laughed. This was the real Jiang Yinchuan, the one who didn't care about her. All the gentleness before had been forced. I'm leaving. She couldn't stay there any longer. The girl had walked far away, but Jiang Yinchuan stood still. The summer night air was hot and stuffy, making his chest feel tight. His face was hidden in the dark, his expression unreadable. After a long while, his figure disappeared into the night. These days were the hottest of the summer. Xia Nuan stayed at home, as if life had quieted down completely. Their chat still ended with a goodnight message from the day before the breakup. Nothing after that. Qin Qing invited her to dinner to cheer her up, but she didn't say it was her boyfriend's birthday. Xia Nuan ended up going out without even putting on makeup. There was a whole table of people, boys and girls. Qin Qing stared at her. Xia Nuan, how did you get dark circles from dating? Staying up late often? It sounded off. Xia Nuan remembered she had been too sad these days to tell Qin Qing they'd broken up. She was about to speak when the private room door opened. She looked over and saw Jiang Yinchuan. What's it like running into your ex right after a breakup with no makeup? Qin Qing tactfully tried to give up her seat, but Xia Nuan grabbed her arm. Even someone as insensitive as her could tell something was wrong. After the meal started, Xia Nuan kept her head down. Her elbow accidentally brushed against another boy's. She moved away instinctively. The boy seemed to keep looking at her, and refilled her drink now and then. Xia Nuan didn't want to refuse and smiled shyly in thanks. Her gaze drifted, and she met Jiang Yinchuan's eyes across the table. The man leaned back in his chair, not eating or drinking. His dark eyes were deep as he looked straight at her calmly. Then his gaze drifted away casually. He curled his lip and listened to his friends, looking relaxed and indifferent, as if their eye contact had just been accidental. After dinner, Qin Qing found out they'd broken up and pressed her for the reason. There wasn't really a reason. Xia Nuan just didn't want to lie to herself anymore. You were together for 2 months. Didn't Jiang Yinchuan beg you to stay? How could he not want you? Xia Nuan shook her head, her voice calm but firm. I never doubt my taste. He's great. I was the one who kept forcing him to do things he didn't like. They walked to the restaurant entrance. She glanced in their direction, then said goodbye to Qin Qing. It was a small, low-key restaurant. Xia Nuan wanted to walk for a while before getting a taxi. Unexpectedly, she ran into an elderly woman sitting on the ground, frowning tightly. She said she'd twisted her ankle and lived alone. It really was dangerous. Xia Nuan quickly helped her up. Granny, let me carry you. No need. You're such a kind girl. The old woman walked with difficulty. They walked until they reached a bronze gate that wasn't closed. Xia Nuan planned to stop at the door, but the old woman looked terrible, gasping for breath. She might as well help completely. She let go once the old woman sat down. Suddenly, she heard the gate slam shut behind her. A hand covered her mouth and nose from behind, along with a terrible smell. Her vision went black. When she opened her eyes again, she could see the dusty floor by moonlight. Her hands and feet were tied, and she couldn't speak. Voices came from outside the door. We'll move her at midnight. Did anyone see you? No. I covered it well. The sparse sounds turned from relaxed to tense. Fear flooded Xia Nuan. Her fingertips went cold and numb. She argued with her father every day, but she'd never suffered like this. Her wrists hurt from the rough rope, and tears burst out. She thought of her dad, of Jiang Yinchuan. The knocking grew louder. Then came hurried footsteps, and the gate was kicked open. Silence returned. The door creaked open. A tall figure stood against the light. Xia Nuan narrowed her eyes. Jiang Yinchuan's tense nerves relaxed slightly when he saw she could still cry. He knelt down. Are you hurt? Xia Nuan shook her head, her gaze fixed on him as he quickly untied her. Her heart beat strongly, one thud after another. Her eyes flashed. Someone behind him raised a wooden stick high, ready to strike. Without thinking, she pushed him away and squeezed her eyes shut. There was no pain, only a groan as the man crashed to the ground. Jiang Yinchuan fought fiercely, professionally trained. His dark eyes were calm. He subdued the man in a few moves and smiled contemptuously. Choose to be a human being, not a trafficker. Sirens wailed outside, flashing red and blue. Police led the suspect away. Jiang Yinchuan gave his statement. Xia Nuan, the nouveau rich, cursed as he got out of the car, grabbed her hand, and asked her a million nervous questions. Never had Xia Nuan felt the world so warm, yet so sad. Family loved you no matter what. And people really use strangers' kindness to commit crimes. If he hadn't hesitated and just taken her home, none of this would have happened. He didn't dare imagine what would have happened if he hadn't followed. His dark eyes flickered in the dim light. He sighed softly and slowly hugged her. It's okay now. Don't be afraid. Xia Nuan felt wronged again. How did you find me? The man fell silent for a moment, then whispered. I saw you turn the corner. Followed you on the way. Her breath caught. She didn't want to overthink. She wrapped her arms around him too. All she could think about wasn't how lucky she was to be saved, but all the girls who disappeared for no reason. What happened to them? She pressed her face against his chest, her sobs muffled and hoarse. Do you believe in God? They always say you should be kind. God will arrange everything. But there are so many bad people. God can't watch over everyone. Jiang Yinchuan let her cry on him, his fingers gently rubbing her rope-burnt wrists. So God invented the police. Xia Nuan didn't trust her to live alone, and made her stay home for the whole summer break. She knew Jiang Yinchuan was busy interning at the criminal police team these days. My mum wants you to come over for dinner this weekend to thank you. She'd cut her hair after that incident and ordered a wig for Jiang Yiru. I should be thanking you. There was a brief silence on the line. The man sounded awkward. Yiru wants you to come too. My dad arranged a blind date for me at noon. You? A blind date? There was amusement in his tone. Xia Nuan felt mocked and said seriously, I'm very popular, you know. Silence fell again. She heard the sound of a lighter. He seemed to be smoking. A few seconds later. Which restaurant? When she arrived at the restaurant, She saw Jiang Yinchuan too. You're not here to eat by coincidence, are you? Not a coincidence. Following orders from my superior to protect your safety. It had been days since the incident. Since when did she need protection? Xia Nuan frowned, confused. Just then, her blind date arrived. She hadn't wanted to agree at first, but she was bored at home and wanted to go out for fun. Now, they stared awkwardly across the table. The blind date was the son of her father's friend. He seemed nervous under that stare. Is this your brother? Xia Nuan shook her head, about to speak. Her ex-boyfriend. The meal was unbearably awkward. She didn't eat much and couldn't stand it anymore. She made polite excuses and left. On the way, the girl walked silently ahead. Jiang Yinchuan slowed down and followed, his gaze drifting to her back now and then. He habitually wanted to reach for her hand, then frowned in frustration at the thought. The girl suddenly stopped. He stopped too. Say it. Why? Jiang Yinchuan's expression shifted slightly. He looked away. Going on a blind date a few days after breaking up. What's the difference between that and moving on immediately? His tone was calm. It did sound kind of like that. Xia Nuan eyed him suspiciously, then started walking again. I'm just doing this to deal with my dad. I'm not actually going to be with him. Jiang Yinchuan owed and walked quietly beside her. She thought back to his words. Wait, what's it to you if I move on immediately? Our relationship always had an expiration date anyway. Or, did you fall for me? Xia Nuan froze. What was she saying? Oh, I get it. My blind date hurt your pride, didn't it? Why are you always being sarcastic? Jiang Yinchuan looked tense. Under her gaze, he seemed flustered. I'm not. You are. Her heart beat faster. Just like before. Jiang Yinchuan stood up, not looking at her. Let's go. As soon as she opened the door, the little girl ran up to her, wearing a shoulder-length wig. Her face was pale and cute, enough to make anyone want to pinch it. How could two people with the same surname Jiang be so different? She played with the little girl all afternoon. Halfway through, Xia Nuan got a call from Xia Niankai, asking about the blind date. She was annoyed and blamed it all on Jiang Yinchuan. Unexpectedly, Xia Niankai didn't complain this time. He just muttered to himself that a police academy student had a good future. She found out he was a criminal police officer and had a mission that night. At the dinner table, Mother Jiang kept putting food on her plate. Yinchuan doesn't like to talk. He won't say what he's thinking. Please be patient with him. Of course she'd be patient. Luckily, he didn't talk much. When he did, he was sarcastic, terrifying. Xia Nuan's thoughts froze. Hadn't Jiang Yinchuan told his family they'd broken up? After dinner, she planned to leave. She hesitated, then confessed to the woman standing at the entrance. Auntie, we actually already broke up. On the way, Xia Nuan didn't want him to drive her. Jinqing invited me to karaoke. You can go back. Jiang Yinchuan didn't move. He looked upset. I'll drive you there. Xia Nuan was confused and overthinking. Why was he acting so strange? But when they arrived, she realized he really was just passing by. His private room was right next to theirs. She almost misunderstood. She laughed at herself. It was nearly 10 o'clock. After chatting for a while, she said goodbye to Jinqing and left. As soon as she stepped into the hallway, the next door opened too. Jiang Yinchuan was looking at his phone, his friends joking around him. Brother Jiang's mind isn't on drinking at all. Stop messing. Brother Jiang is reporting his schedule to his girlfriend. Amid laughter, the man didn't deny it. He even hummed softly in agreement. Xia Nuan froze. Then her phone lit up. An unread message appeared on the screen. She hesitated and opened it. Jiang Yinchuan. Wait for me at the door. Her eyelashes trembled. She looked up and called his name directly. The man turned. Their eyes met. His friends left tactily. Xia Nuan walked closer and noticed his red earlobes. How much did you drink? Not much. Not much, and you're talking nonsense. She held up her phone, feeling wronged. Jiang Yinchuan. We already broke up. Do you find it fun to let people misunderstand? Before she finished speaking, warmth covered her wrist. She was pulled into his arms and her breath caught. He had drunk a few cups, but not enough to talk nonsense. The moment he held her, all his restless thoughts calmed down. His frustration eased. He watched himself fall for her, over and over, completely sober. His chin rested on her shoulder, his eyes slightly red, his voice hoarse. You were the one who chased me. Now you're the one leaving. Be reasonable, will you? His voice sent shivers through her. Xia Nuan stood frozen, letting him hold her. You're drunk. I'll take you home. Silence fell. Jiang Yinchuan didn't let go. To your home. Why? I'm drunk. Xia Nuan admitted she'd softened, and she was completely blinded by his looks. The man really was drunk. He leaned against the sofa, an arm over his eyes, looking uncomfortable. She handed him a hangover pill, her face cold. Take this, rest for a while, then you can leave. No response. She went to take a shower. When she came out, Jiang Yinchuan was asleep. She thought about what he'd said. It wasn't that she didn't want him. She just didn't want to force him to do things he hated. She found a blanket and gently covered him. She leaned down and whispered, Jiang Yinchuan, are you asleep? Still no response. Xia Nuan grew bold. You're a grown man, sleeping drunk at a girl's place. Lucky I'm a good person. Otherwise I'd definitely bully you badly. Then she saw his eyelashes flicker. Their eyes met. Embarrassed, Xia Nuan panicked and tried to run. But he grabbed her wrist and pulled her onto his lap. The air was thick with tension. Jiang Yinchuan looked straight at her, his dark eyes bottomless and dark. How do you want to bully me? She swallowed, avoiding his gaze. A forced love is bitter. Jiang Yinchuan laughed and brushed the hair from her forehead. Lucky for me, I don't like sweet. Xia Nuan didn't understand. What do you mean? He was silent for a moment. If he couldn't stand seeing her with other men, there was no point in pretending anymore. He looked down, speaking slowly. Xia Nuan, you know full well I could have ignored all your little tricks. You never forced me to do anything I didn't like. Putting up with you again and again only means one thing. I was willing. The impact was too much. Xia Nuan was stunned, muttering. After a few seconds, Jiang Yinchuan let her go. Their breaths tangled. I like you. Can you be my girlfriend? Xia Nuan looked into his eyes. Once she was sure he wasn't drunk, she blushed and looked away. I want to think about it. She'd expected Jiang Yinchuan to be cool and give her time. Instead, he buried his face in her neck and mumbled. No. Answer me now. Please. She was convinced. He was definitely drunk. Xia Nuan's heart melted at this police academy student acting coquettish. I'm really dramatic. Dramatic or not, I like you. So you just won't comfort me? Xia Nuan asked, already starting to act up. Jiang Yinchuan sat up straight, looked at her for a moment, and smiled. Compared to comforting, actions are more efficient. Xia Nuan was about to argue, but her breath was taken away. Freshmen were starting school. As a senior, Jiang Yinchuan was honored to be invited to record a promotional speech video. Xia Nuan was confused at first, then found out he'd been the top scorer in the police academy entrance exam back then. In the video, the man wore a neat, straight uniform. His face was sharp under the military cap. She watched, captivated. Then she heard his last line. May the mountains and rivers be safe, and the world at peace. May deep love last a lifetime, forever and always. His tone was sincere, like temple bells, striking her heart. Xia Nuan stopped spacing out. Look who's here. Jiang Yinchuan's actually at our medical university. Xin Qing nudged her, whispering in shock. They were having PE class. Xia Nuan snapped back to her senses and couldn't help smiling. She stood up from the grass and ran toward him. She breathed in his nice scent. Please take good care of me from now on, Officer Jiang. Jiang Yinchuan smiled gently. The national flag fluttered behind him. He whispered, an honor.